Gas stations, rain physics, map details, off-road trails, like actually off-road trails, not just the joke Forza has, wrecks, and much more. Test Drive Unlimited is back, and it's showing zero mercy with this huge news update. Despite the focus of this news update being on the map, which is now over 3 times more road than Forza Horizon 4, Kiloton have snuck in some really cool things that racing game fans have been asking for ages. There's so much to dissect here, so let's get started with the map. It has gained a solid 50 more kilometers of road, meaning Solocran now has over 600 kilometers of road. But hang on a second, the real world island only has 440 kilometers of road. So how have KT found another 160? Well, hiking trails. Hong Kong Island has loads of these trails with picturesque views. Pair this with a game about cars and you get some really nice off-road trails. Genuine off-road trails, where it makes sense to have an SUV or pickup instead of taking them to roads that only rally cars should be on. Not all these parts are off-road though. This screenshot is based in the Titan Reservoir, and as you can see, there is a road up there. However, in real life, it's just a paved walking path. Another reason is that TDUSC's roads have been, in their words, lightly redesigned to make them more fun for cars while respecting the identity of Hong Kong Island. So while it is a one-to-one recreation, it's been slightly modified to make it more fun to drive on. Not just for supercars, of course, but all types of cars, as they've said in previous news updates. For example, they mentioned they widened certain little streets because they were too narrow, which seems fair so that you could still race on them. Exploration is going to be a massive part of Solocran. Not only are some of the off-road regions I mentioned not going to be visible on the map, but through the 14 districts of Hong Kong Island, it's still TDU, with crazy attention to detail, but with some modernization. Speed traps and collectibles are nice to see brought over to Test Drive Unlimited, but also activities and events, meaning things to do other than just racing. Speaking of racing though, instant challenges are returning, meaning you can race your friends head-to-head in free roam. After a minor roast from KT, saying your driving will probably not be perfect and your cars won't always stay in immaculate condition, they mentioned something racing game fans have been begging for ages: gas stations. Yes, we are getting petrol stations in a racing game, and you might be able to see a little icon here for parking your car next to the pumps. Officially, KT has said these petrol stations are for repairing your car and haven't elaborated on this tease for a potential fuel consumption system. So as tempting as it is, a fuel mode has not yet been confirmed as of yet. Another returning feature to the franchise are wrecks, just chipping in one more point towards exploration. Here we can see a Volkswagen Beetle, which if you've played TDU2, you'd know it was a wrecked vehicle in that game too. However, it's sporting quite an interesting off-road kit now. On the surface, it may not look too different, but with a completely different suspension system, off-road tires, and a bash bar, it's pretty obvious this isn't stock. We did just get some news regarding the customization of vehicles. However, there are 2 major things to note. It's been outlined by Alain Janou, the creative director, that supercars should not be able to off-road, so no Forza Horizon shenanigans here. Secondly, I personally don't think this is a customization option. It's rather suspicious that it is shown here in the same news update as wrecks are confirmed, so my best guess is that it's a wreck to find off the beaten path. If we look at this concept art of TD Solocran's website, you can actually see a buggy posed in front of the Titan Reservoir, so it seems they've retained the overall vibes for that whilst giving a more familiar face. While we're on the topic of unusual vehicles though, this is a Ford GT40, a genuine race car. TDU isn't about track racing. If anything, it's the complete opposite, but previous games have featured track-only cars like the FXX or the A4 touring car. So given this is a genuine collector's car, I'd say it's nice to see in this so-called rich knob simulator. If you're wondering where this location is, this beautifully lit neon building is none other than One Island East in Quarry Bay. It's not an exact copy of the building, as each of these buildings need to be licensed in order to be properly recreated. However, Kiloton has done a rather stellar job, if I do say so myself, keeping the key features of the building and surrounding area. If you zoom in on the glass, you may be able to make out a silhouette of a car, hinting at potentially this is a dealership, but take that as you will. All I'll say though is that this won't be the Ferrari dealership, as they mentioned luxury dealerships in Repulse Bay, so the Ferrari Repulse Bay is basically confirmed in game, right? Just because this building isn't one-to-one, it doesn't mean Solocran has cheaped out on iconic landmarks. There are plenty of fully licensed buildings and locations recreated to get Hong Kong's iconic skyline. Places like the Bank of China Tower, Convention Center, Hopo Center, Lipo Center, and even The Center. Yeah, I kinda think Hong Kong likes the word center. Not quite sure what would suggest that though. It's not just the city that gets iconic locations though. Dragon's Back is an extremely famous hiking trail on the southern side of the island and mentioned here, so I'm super excited to try that out, along with small fishing villages that are supposedly only accessible via small paths. Just imagining off-roading, bumbling along these uneven paths with a bunch of your friends is something we've all been wanting for a long time in any racing game. Another thing slipped in here are the physics of the cars in the rain. It was snuck in when they confirmed the dynamic weather and time of day system. They mentioned that the rain has a significant impact on the behavior of your car, and that you'd have to adapt your driving in order to avoid unexpected skids. So here you can clearly see their work from developing the WRC and Isle of Man TT franchises at work here. They also suggest changing your tires and gear ratios for the matter too, which I reckon could be hinting at a wet tire compound, but we'll have to see about that. They also mentioned we'll have control over windscreen wipers, which is a really nice feature to have from WRC, and the iconic TDU feature of putting your roof down. Another feature is back here in the Q7 shot, where we can see the indicators nicely at work. We have so many returning cars to the franchise, but I'm really happy to see this Q7 again in Solar Crown. Yes, it may be a giant SUV, but it's a V12 twin-turbo diesel with over 1,000 Newton meters of torque from factory, and I'm just hoping Katie can do this thing some justice by just making you feel this thing pull. One thing that caught my eye is the sunroof, as in my opinion it seems way more transparent than it should be. However, if it wasn't clear by now, the game is still in development. I expect people will be mainly complaining about the textures on some of these buildings, but when there's literally a poster on the petrol station that says placeholder, this will definitely not be the final result. Same goes for the number plates, as I've seen some people worry about them. I do expect they understand the modern features that players want in a racing game, otherwise they wouldn't include things like speed traps. And with custom license plates not just being shown in the CGI trailers and website, it's a massive part of Hong Kong culture anyways. So I wouldn't worry too much in this regard either. Test Drive Unlimited is back, not just doing the deed, but always going that extra mile. I honestly can't wait to see what Solocran has in store for us next month. If you want to learn more about the map, check out this video up here. Otherwise, I hope you have a nice rest of the week, and I'll see you soon. Bye! So it'd be very suspicious if I said, flash me, right?
I don't know what you mean. Why would it be?
Thank you.